Russian authorities in Crimea will strengthen surveillance measures during the holiday season. They're installing video cameras in forests and drones used to patrol coastal areas. At the same time, Russian troops are establishing positions along the Crimean coast. Realities explains how Crimea is becoming a high-security resort. The upcoming resort season in Russian-annexed Crimea will be the fifth under the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. Russian-controlled local authorities and Russian troops are deploying various mechanisms to control the situation in the region. Some are preparing to welcome tourists, while others are using the Ukrainian defense forces. The Crimean resort increasingly resembles a high-security zone. In Crimea, monitoring is being strengthened primarily in maritime areas. During the May holidays, 20 patrol groups were active on waterways, according to Alexander Zhrayenko, Chief State Inspector for Small Vessels at the Crimean Main Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations. According to him, raids and patrols are taking place both in the Black and Azov Seas, as well as in coastal areas. Starting June 1st, when the resort season officially begins in Crimea, rescue sailors and divers with specialized equipment will be deployed to work along the coast. The Crimean headquarters of the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations warned that this year they will be able to stop small vessels in Crimean waters for document checks. All vessels must have these documents on board. Drones will also be used to monitor the situation on the Crimean coast this year. We will use drones for prevention and surveillance, to inspect the waters to determine whether there are vessels or not, and whether there are violations, so that our water units can be dispatched directly there. The first phase of deploying unmanned systems began back in 2015, which was 10 years ago, and we were already using unmanned systems back then. So this isn't something new, but simply something old, given the current trend in unmanned systems, Alexander Zhrayenko told Crimean media. This year, they plan to monitor the situation on land through the widespread installation of video cameras. 70 cameras have already been installed in Crimean forests, covering 70% of their territory, said Igor Skirtle, deputy head of the Crimean Main Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations. These cameras, he said, are smoke-activated and will allow emergency services to respond to fires. These measures were taken in the aftermath of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Last year, we saw a nearly 20% increase in forest fires. These were largely due to the SVO, the incoming of aircraft debris, explains Igor Skirtle. He notes that there is no technical capability to fully cover the Crimean forests with video surveillance. A challenge for Crimean tourists this year will be the Russian authorities' practice of shutting down mobile internet, which they are using to combat Ukrainian drones. Crimean rescuers recommend calling the emergency number 112 for help if there is no internet. However, they failed to clarify that prolonged mobile internet outages negatively impact emergency services due to system failures. The Ministry of Emergency Situations, ambulances, and police are particularly vulnerable as they rely on reliable radio communications, especially in restricted areas, according to local media. On the eve of the resort season, the Russian army has also begun to strengthen its presence on the Crimean coast. In the region, Russian units, in particular the Crimea Task Force, are conducting large-scale mining of the coast and nearby waters in an attempt to prevent a possible Ukrainian landing, Vladislav Voloshin, spokesman for the southern Ukrainian Defense Forces, told reporters in April. According to him, mining covers not only beaches, but also coastal waters, for which anti-tank and anti-personnel mines are used. Hundreds and thousands of mines are being installed in Crimea, supplemented by barbed wire, effectively turning the coast into a solid danger zone, asserts Vladislav Voloshin. They're trying to mine almost the entire coastline, laying hundreds, even thousands of mines. The beaches will now be turned into minefields, which will be blocked with various barbed wire fences, and this applies not only to the beaches, but also to parts of the sea. They're closing everything off because they're very afraid of a landing in Crimea, said Vladislav Voloshin. Russian authorities and military command have not publicly announced such measures. However, Crimean public groups have reported signs of military activity in the region. In early May, Russian troops patched up firing positions and observation posts along the Yevpatoria-Saki road, according to the pro-Ukrainian Telegram channel, Crimean Wind.